Good morning. Welcome to the home of Unitarian Universalism in Central Washington. My name is Elizabeth Sollie and I serve as the interim minister here. I'm also the celebrant for today's service. If you are a visitor here this morning, you are so welcome and we're so glad you're here. This morning we welcome every person of goodwill just as you are, however you get around, whomever you love, whatever body you inhabit, whatever your age, you are welcome here. We invite everyone to join us after the service, both in person and on Zoom, for coffee hour after the service. For the folks on Zoom, you can find your order of service in the chat. Maybe. A little bit of change of plans today. Please take a moment now and greet your neighbor. All right. So announcements are always tricky in Unitarian Universalist congregations. Many people feel like they're a mini business meeting in the middle of worship. Some congregations have done away with them. There are always lots of feelings about whether they should come at the beginning or at the end of the service. We have a lot of opinions. So let me share mine. Announcements are a way of sharing knowledge, which is power. And we want to have shared power in our congregation. We also have a shared life beyond Sunday morning in this congregation, and announcements are a way of inviting people into our shared life of meaning, purpose, and belonging. And I can think of no more sacred work. So here are today's announcements. And the board is beginning to create some policy about outward-facing messaging. They want to be nimble and create a culture of yes. And to that end, what they figured out so far is that when someone has an idea involving messaging, they should first bring it to the board. The board will determine if they can provide an answer or if more stakeholders such as the justice team or the congregation need to be involved. So our first test case was a request from a congregant that we fly the pride flag to signal that this is a welcoming congregation, and the answer is on the flagpole. Right. And our congregation is putting together a list of temporary housing options for people who need a safe place to land on their way to the next thing. If you have a basement or a spare bedroom or an RV that you would like to offer, please contact Betsy Pierce. She will gather information about your space and your parameters. The list will be kept in the office, and if a need arises, you'll be contacted by the minister to see if you're able to host the person in need. So please be in touch with Betsy if you can lend a hand. And speaking of temporary housing, Wenatchee Immigrant Justice is looking to place a young man from Nigeria who is seeking asylum. He's waiting on a work permit, so he has no income right now. If you're interested in exploring this, please talk to me. So we are together again. What a blessing. Please close your eyes or soften your gaze if eyes closed doesn't feel safe to you. Make your body as comfortable as you can. Ground yourself to the good earth. Can you feel that connection? Release any tension you're carrying in your body. Notice what is tight and relax it. Take a deep breath in and out. Notice the interdependent web of life of which you are a part, or maybe you're not even a part, but one with the whole of it, made from the same stardust that is everything. Take another deep breath. Give yourself a moment of loving kindness. You are doing the best you can with what you have, and it is enough. Give yourself a little internal hug. You, yes you, have inherent worth and dignity. Take another deep breath. Send the people in this room some loving kindness. They have arrived with all their joys and sorrows and long to be seen and understood and loved just the way they are. Send them some of that good love for their perfectly imperfect selves. Take another deep breath. Send some loving kindness to our leaders. May they be touched by your loving kindness and wise and compassionate in all their dealings. Send some of that loving kindness to those leaders who need it most. One more deep breath. And let's just sit in silence for a moment, feeling the love in this amazing network of life. One more breath and come back to the room. If you can rise in body or spirit and sing hymn number 347, Gather in Spirit. All right. We kindle a sacred flame with words by the author Bonnie Badenoch in lighting our chalice. If you're joining us remotely, please feel free to light your own chalice as well. We join Unitarians and Unitarian Universalists all over the world this morning in lighting our chalices. We are in such good company. You might send them some of your loving kindness as well. Each time I experience the unseen wisdom of a person's system, it deepens my trust in the inner process unfolding and my awe at the way we are organized to be protected until the possibility of healing arrives. So we kindle our flame this morning for the possibility of healing. So if any children are on Zoom, gather close for a story, and if you're here in this room, come on up front and feel free to bring your grown-up. Do we have a microphone handheld? Right. Oh, there. All right. So this is the time in our service we set aside with reverence to honor life events which have an impact on us in deep and personal ways. This is not a time for politics or advertisement. It's a time of reverence, of care, and of intention. So let us take a moment to pause to think about how we can be mindful of our shared ministry. During this time, each of us has a responsibility to share only what we have permission to share, to take care of the time we use, and to support each other in our sharing. These joys and sorrows, like the ripples that spread from the water when we drop our pebbles, touch everyone in our community. If you'd like to share a joy or sorrow, come up briefly, share your first and last name. That helps the pastoral care team and helps people to get to know you. And then drop your pebble. If you're on Zoom, feel free to type it into the chat and we'll read it. So come on up if you have some joys and sorrows. Teresa Posakony is passionate about creating healthy and resilient communities and organizations. She works with individuals, organizations, and communities globally to help us realize our innate capacity to flourish. Teresa researches at the intersection of neuroscience, anatomy, energy medicine, and somatic, meaning body intelligence. She loves seeing the change that happens when people discover the intelligence of their bodies and learn how to work with it. We are fortunate to have Teresa as our speaker this morning. Welcome, Teresa.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here with you. Such a warm welcome. I appreciate it. And especially from this one sitting in the front row, Deb Miller. She's been a dear friend, colleague, and student of mine for a long time. And so we've been able to bring these practices of self-healing. And I loved when you lit the chalice here. Because that's really what we're all about, is studying our bodies and knowing how we can come into the self-healing potential that we all are and into our brilliance. There's moments in life when I know, when I see and feel this exquisite intelligence of this being that I am. And one of those moments was in my early 20s. And I was backpacking up in the enchantments, up in the Alpine Lake Wilderness. Has anyone been there? uh, and we went in through Kolchak and up Asgard's Pass, and it was on a Sunday in the second weekend in August. And that first night, we were out under the stars, and the Perseids were out, the Perseids meteor showers, and it was just raining down. So we took our sleeping bags out, and we stayed out there really late. For hours and hours we watched. And then the next morning, a miracle happened because all the humans left the Upper Enchantment Valley except for us, the three of us. It was my brother and my best friend and I. And so we just wandered off in the bliss that was, this bliss of being in this exquisite nature and feeling my exquisite nature. I felt this connection with everything. During that time, it just really felt like I was enchanted too. That feeling of awe. And this was in my early 20s, and this memory, it's like burned into my being. I can remember it. It's a touchstone memory. I can remember it as if it were happening right now. Okay. And maybe you have some of those touchstone memories yourself that just bring you to awe. One of the beautiful things about the way our brain works is it doesn't know time. Our brain doesn't know time. So it doesn't know past, present, or future. It doesn't have the sense of with what I'm remembering right now. It doesn't have the sense that that's in the past. I can just remember that as if it were happening right now. And the system gets to experience it. And so I want to invite you all to be in a memory for yourself. A memory of a time that you felt that way, where you felt that awe. So maybe this is a time, and just bring one to mind. Maybe it's a time where there was just like a sunset that went on and on and on. Maybe it was the birth of a child. Maybe it was the sweetness of love. Maybe it's the bliss of spring skiing. Maybe it's that sweetness of the birds as they're, and on the spring morning when it's just like after winter and all the birds feel like they're waking up. So find in yourself, run those movies. I'm just going to give us a couple minutes and run the movie of awe in your body. Whatever that touchstone memory is that puts you in touch with awe. Maybe it's a spiritual experience you had. Maybe it's singing in a choir. What is it that felt like, oh, that's who I am? And just notice what happens on your face when you think about those things too. We start getting things happening on our face because it's a whole body experience. It's not just in our thoughts when that happens. Those touchstone memories. On the other side of the touchstone memories, sometimes we have memories in our bodies that are something happened that was so traumatic that it gets stored in our tissues too. And that, it can be some post-traumatic stress disorder. It could be something that our heart didn't know what to do with. And our bodies keep the score that way too. So those memories can be here with us. So I honor also in you all of those memories that we can't quite forget. And then how do we find our way home to healing? Kind of finding our way back to our hearts. And we use both memories, the touchstone memories, but we also learn how to heal the memories of the things that have happened from the past. Yesterday, I had the gift of working with recovery navigators, so people that support people in recovery. And it was such a profound experience walking that day with them in a Take Care of Your Heart retreat. And just finding our ways to take care of our hearts. And part of it's physical, part of it's emotional, part of it's mental, and part of it's spiritual. So I love working in spiritual communities because we know that we have this love that's bigger than that. The awe that you feel, like as you touch into that touchstone memory of awe, I have that same awe every day as I study the body. I am completely in awe of this system. 20,000 times, 25,000 times a day we breathe, automatically, It's like this literally taking our breath for granted, It's like we have 20,000 times a day available to us for transformation, for healing, and how do we take advantage of that? And looking at all of these different aspects of the body and how they work together with this intimately interwoven tapestry inside. I was with one of my friends and colleagues, and he says, "You could talk about this all day." and indeed, that was not a compliment. And I literally can talk about this all day. So we've arranged to have a workshop after the service so you can have 90 more minutes of exploring the exquisite intelligence of you. Okay? As I think of the exquisite intelligence of this body, there's just different aspects that are quite remarkable to me. One is that this body is a vehicle, is this dynamic and adaptive vehicle that gets us through all of life, makes everything possible in this life, the twists and turns of life, the ups and downs in life, our gesturing towards people, our gesturing away, our dancing, our singing, everything, this exquisite vehicle, gets us there. It helps us do that. And, this little ankle angle sets my direction. Okay? The hips, it's like, this is my navigation system. Wow, look at how this navigation system works. It gets me through all of life. And then this body is also designed as an exquisite instrument. I heard you all singing, it's like, this isn't, you also have an exquisite vehicle and you have an exquisite instrument. And you have that equipment, whether you can sing on tune or not. It's like, you've got the equipment for this, for this exquisite instrument. And in fact, I'm working with my sound healing teacher. We realized that we think we had something wrong about our human nature. We don't think we're humans. And her name's Vicki Dodd. In our opinion, we're hummins. We're the hummin race. So everybody, let's give a little hum. Let us tune into our exquisite nature, right? So as I'm in the study of this vehicle, this instrument, it also is an exquisitely intelligent system. Like, my organs are taking care of me 24/7. All the cells in the body, there's light in every cell, the mitochondria. My nervous system, it's like this system that has this grand communication system, that's going on all the time, autonomically. So as we get all of these details, we can work with them with more precision as we understand how this vehicle works. I like to think of it like going to, if we've got our cars, and we take them in for tune-ups. It's like, how do we tune up this system so it can bring in its best? What I recognize most, though, as I study the body is that I haven't even scratched my potential for what this system is capable with. And what the system is capable of in this life. And I find that really exciting. And it's like a 5D puzzle that I haven't solved yet, and we as humans haven't solved this yet. What is this system capable of? And we know that when our nervous system's balanced, then we can hear each other. We know when we're in a stress response, we can't. Oftentimes you can't even see the people who are here loving us around us because of what's going on in us. So I'm, in some ways it feels like my body is always teasing me. Are you going to find the next clue that helps you reveal a little more about the self-healing intelligence of your body? I had a good opportunity to study that this fall. In end of September 25th, I was hiking in the Olympic Peninsula, and I slid down a little scree field, and I busted my ankle. And And I have nice hardware that brings me here today. And the whole ankle and foot were dislocated. So, and I got to study the amazing healing potential of this body. You know, my beautiful and brilliant body, you know, had to set up all these support structures just to get me out of the woods. Within a minute, 2 angels showed up and they carried me out of the woods, piggyback, And so all these ribs kind of helped me get out of the woods, and all of these other things that helped me to be on my crutches and keep moving and find my way out of that circumstance. And then also building a support structure for while I heal. It's like, wow, my body just built that for me in an instant. It also built a deconstruction zone to take care of all the tissue that was damaged, and it created a reconstruction zone. And then it rewove all the tissues, one layer at a time, the lymph, the fascia, the muscles, the tendons, the circulatory system, the nervous system, all of this. So this feels like learning to walk when I'm this age. It's just like, it's a profound experience from this consciousness, because I realized I really took every step for granted. And so now I don't get a chance with this little situation here. It's like I wake up in the morning and I have to see, how am I going to plant my feet today? How am I going to be in the grace that is every step? And then how do I reconnect? How do I plug back into this beautiful electromagnetic system that is the earth that I walk upon? I don't know how to introduce you to the exquisite intelligence of your body without a couple movements with you. Because oftentimes this has such latent potential within us. And so one of the things that had to happen is when I came out of the woods, I was hauled out. And then I was on my crutches, and then I was in bed for a few months. And so I was in this contracted posture, and I had to see, like, yes, I went into that, but I didn't need it anymore after a while. And so I needed to come out of it. It's like, how do I come back to life and to this full potential for this body? So I want to invite, this was really literally for me, how do I open my heart and open my mind? Because right now I was contracted around my heart and contracted around my lungs. So I went through a process to unlock, unwind, unweave, this system so that I could be back here with you, like this, and have all of this dynamic system available. I felt a little bit like I was a butterfly in a cocoon, and it's like I'm most of the way out now. It's like there's some more coming out to do. And haven't got there yet, but I'm coming. So I want to invite you to join me in some opening, just really short practices to help us open our hearts and our minds. And when I think of this very much both in the instrument of all of us singing together here today, this also opens up your instrument. And then it opens up the space for healing, this latent capacity for healing. And for me, it feels like we're opening that chalice of our being so we can receive that light and love. I'm going to step down here so you can see me a little. We were checking to see if we didn't get the mic feedback, so thank you. Thank you. So I just want to invite, first, we're going to explore a little bit about the vehicle that you have. And so I just imagine, as you're seated in your seats, this is a vehicle. So just like fly by the seat of your pants for a minute. And so just sitting right here, and like notice what's happening here. Just take a moment to fly by the seat of your pants. And then I invite you to put these feet in. There's like tens of thousands of nerve endings in the bottom of your feet. And just animate your feet. It's just like this beautiful foot that's here. It's like it has all these different dimensions. It has all these different directions. And these two systems, your feet and your hips, these are parts that are designed to be weight-bearing. But oftentimes other parts of me get to be weight-bearing too. So I'm just, as we find this place, find a place that your pelvic bowl feels balanced and supported. You're like, there, now I have balance and support. And your feet are supporting you. You're planting those beautiful feet. And think about like how cats need, you know, like, and just do that with your feet a little bit, one foot in the other. Or if you like, if you're a biker, you can just go one pedal then the other and just find yourself planted here. And just find that strong space of support. Okay. And then from here, we're going to find some space in our upper rib basket. So go ahead. You can do your wings this way so you don't hit your neighbors. So you just put your little wings out. And some of you that don't have such close neighbors, you can put your big wings out. And then just go ahead and lift up a little bit. So you can kind of try to play around to find space in your upper rib basket. So I'm going to do it this way, where I'm opening up this way. And if your neighbors don't mind too much, you can do that too. Or finding some space here in the upper rib basket. You can think of me climbing out of the woods, and this was all pretty locked up. And for a lot of us with our laptops, it's locked up. So go ahead and open this up. One of the reasons I think they have hand mudras in meditation is it opens this clavicular diaphragm. So we're just opening this space up. Your lungs go all the way up to here. And then go ahead and place your hands here in your laps with this opening here. And then the respiratory diaphragm, the diaphragm gets activated with the sound. So let's just do a little ha, 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 ha. Okay, now we'll just take a moment to be hummins together, okay? Would you join me in being a hummin? And we're gonna hum all the way out, and then the breath returns like a wave. You know, like how that wave on the beach goes all the way out, and then you just wait for it to come back in. And we'll have different pacing on the waves. You know, the waves aren't even on the beach, and the waves aren't even here, but we're all hummins together. So let's go ahead and take a deep breath in. And this time we're going to get the big warm One more So now you have a little sense of how this vehicle works, that you can fly by the seat of your pants a little more, and that you're humming. I want to close with a reading from a quote from Thomas Merton. And just remember back to that beautiful moment in nature you found earlier. Then it was as if I suddenly saw the secret beauty of their hearts, the depth of their hearts, the core of their reality. If only they could see themselves as they really are. If only we could see each other that way all the time. There would be no more war, no more hatred, no more cruelty, no more greed. I suppose the big problem would be that we would fall down and worship each other. There was no way of telling people that they are all walking around shining like the sun. Take a moment and look around at these beautiful beings all around you. Just take a look. May we remember who we are. Thank you for being you.
Thank you. So the offertory is an ancient element of worship. The act of giving, regardless of amount, is a spiritual practice that expresses our thankfulness and our generosity. We live these values in abundance. Joyfully sharing our gifts and strengths in service to the greater good is how we create a beloved community. We will now collect the offertory. We are blessed by your generosity. May your gifts make a difference in our communities through the ministries of this church. Thank you. Deb, where's the workshop going to be?
It's going to be right here.
Right here. So after the service, you can feel your body with a few cookies and then come feel it with some healing. Right? All right, right here at the front. So let's extinguish our chalice now with our traditional words. Please rise and body your spirit. And if you don't know the words, they're in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Now, if we could circle up for the closing song on Zoom and in person.